Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'm bringing you my thoughts for Newcastle United 1, Everton 1 at St James's Park. Let's get straight into it. Listen, it was a hard fought point, wasn't it? It was a difficult game. First half, we might as well start there. I thought we were incredibly poor first half. I don't think much went in our way at all in that first half. I think we were pretty much lucky to go into half time, into the half time break 1-0 down. And I thought Newcastle could have quite easily been 4 or 5 up. They had some fantastic chances. And, for me, I just thought there was a real opportunity there in the first half to go out, come out fighting and go out and attack Newcastle. And we didn't really do that. I think we showed a little bit of naivety on the ball. We tried to knock it around the back here and there, but the majority of the time that Pickford or Branthwaite or Tarkowski got the ball, it seemed to be lumped forward in that first half. And you know, with that Isak goal early on in that first half, I thought it was massively avoidable. I thought the chance that Newcastle got from that, it came from a long ball forward from Pickford. The knockdown wasn't won there, and in that midfield where you've got Bruno Guimaraes, who's so good at picking the ball up and clipping balls in behind, and you've got the pace of Alexander Isak in behind as well. I don't think the long ball tactic would have, been the best thing to do in that first half. Just sit on the ball and maybe try and carve a chance from that, but we didn't do that. We continued to go with that long ball, and it caught us out really. A looping ball forward and a ball in behind to Alexander Isak, who slotted nicely past the left hand of Jordan Pickford. And for me, I think it was completely on us that first goal. And the chances didn't stop there. I think Pickford massively bailed us out in that first half, and we could have been 3-4 down by the half time break. And the special mention has to go there to Jordan Pickford. I think he was fantastic throughout the whole game, and dealing with the Newcastle fans and their certain plastic dinosaurs in the in the home end there just as he was warming up. But no, I think Pickford definitely showed how he is a top keeper in that first half, and kept us in it going into the half time break. Because as I said earlier, if you go in 3 or 4 down, like I said, we could have done, I think that would have been game over definitely. And massive credit to Pickford because he kept us in it. And my thoughts in the ground at half time, I was thinking, we're going to really struggle to get something from this game if we continue to play the way that we are. I think, unless there was a tactical change at half time, I was very worried that we wouldn't be able to get at least a point. And then going into that second half as well, I think we started really, really slowly, didn't we? I personally would have liked to see some changes at half time. Some attacking changes. I don't think Ashley Young had the greatest of first halves. Ben Godfrey he looked all at sea, really, didn't he? I think he looked, a little bit out of his depth on that right hand side. And I would have just liked to see even Jack Harrison. We know he hasn't been the best at times this season, Jack Harrison, but I would have just liked to see maybe, a Jack Harrison and Yusuf Chamiti come on at half time just to freshen things up and change up the tactics. But we didn't really see that. And as I said earlier, we started that second half very, very slowly. And, going 2-0 down then, which is what we did, but for VAR, um, I think at that point I was very worried that the game was done. I think we were very lucky to be bailed out by VAR in that sense. And again, it comes from a Newcastle set piece where they've got in behind, and Dan Burns had an easy tap in from 5 yards out. It's the same story, isn't it? Every single week we seem to be conceding set pieces and conceding stupid soft goals that are massively avoidable. And the two last night that we conceded, one obviously counted, one was ruled out by VAR. I think they were both massively avoidable. So it was disappointing to see. But once that goal did get ruled out, we did see some changes. And the thing that worried me was, you know, Dyche only was willing to change when we were 2-0 down. For me, as I said earlier, at half time in the ground, I was thinking I wanted to see some changes at half time. It wasn't good enough, that first half performance. And, you know, it was very difficult to see that we waited until that second goal went in to make any changes. And, the three subs of Andre Gomez, James Garner, coming on while the VAR check was going on. I think that was a little bit disappointed. I would have done that a little bit earlier, just to seeing how the game was panning out. It wasn't going our way, but after the changes, to be fair to Dyche, we did get a foothold in the game. Andre Gomez came on. Listen, as Evertonians, we know that Andre Gomez isn't going to be a world beater, but he came on and he shored up that midfield. He got on the ball and he moved it quickly, and we very, very nearly scored a goal pretty much after the changes were made, with James Garner getting so unlucky with hitting the inside of the post. I think if that goes in, we probably go on to, get a little bit more from the game. The confidence would have grown, and I think we probably would have got a little bit more from the game. But, No, listen, the second half performance was better. I wouldn't say it was good. I think it was better than what we saw in the first half. I know I sound really negative here, and it's really difficult to get positive in these situations where we are in the table and stuff like that. And I know probably it's not the most comfortable of you in hearing me be negative, but I don't think we were as good in the second half as people are making out. I think we were better than what we were, and it was better than, say, for example, the Bournemouth performance, but I don't think we were good as such. But that being said, we carved some opportunities, we carved some chances. DCL then came on a bit later on for Beto. Again, I probably would have liked to see them go two up top, as I said in my starting 11 show. But listen, we got a huge chance in the form of a penalty won by Ashley Young. And first of all, I want to say it was definitely a penalty. And second of all, I want to say that huge experience was shown by Ashley Young there. I know it's been talked about quite recently in on Twitter, obviously this morning and in the immediate aftermath of the game last night. But Ashley Young going straight to the referee, running up to him, crowding the referee. Top teams do it. Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea. These teams, Manchester United, these teams get the most penalties in the league, don't they? They all seem to crowd the referee and protest every single decision that either goes against them or goes for them. They're always in the face of the referee. And, this is something that Everton need to do more. And Ashley Young really showed his experience there in doing that. And I genuinely think it forced the VAR check for the penalty. And as we saw, Paul Dummett had his arm round Ashley Young's neck, dragged him to the floor, and it was a stonewall penalty. And, in other games, maybe if we didn't contest that as much, would it be given? I'm not so sure. You look at the Bournemouth game on Saturday, for example. Could we have got a penalty from that for the Dominic Calvert-Lewin challenge? Could we possibly have got a penalty if he'd have run up to the referee, crowded him straight away, and made him check it? I don't know, but just reiterating that point, huge experience. I think Dyche did allude to it in his post-match interview with the experience of Ashley Young. I think that was one of the pointers that definitely showed Ashley Young's experience. It was really good to see, and it's about time Everton got a little bit nasty, got in the referee's face and just fight, showed a little bit more fight than what we have been doing, because as we saw last night, it gains a competitive edge. So it's anything to stay in this league. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin's penalty, I won't lie, I was very nervous in the ground in that away end, just because of his recent record. And you know what Everton are like. We get given our second penalty of the season. It would have been so Everton to miss that. But luckily, we didn't. We slotted it. And it was huge for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, wasn't it, getting on that score sheet last night? I think, what is it? I think it was into the mid-20s for games that he's not scored at West Ham since October. So to see him on the score sheet last night, that'll probably do the world of good for his confidence. And I'm just hoping now, whoever Dyche picks in these last 8, 9 games between now and the end of the season, whether it be Beto or Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I just want to see them getting on the score sheet more. We've had 2 games now. Beto's got on the score sheet for one of them. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's got on the score sheet for another. That's really pleasing to see, because we need goals to stay in this league. And I think hopefully this does the world of good for Dominic Calvert-Lewin's confidence, and hopefully if he can take this into the Burnley game on Saturday and try and get on the score sheet again and just go from strength to strength. Now let's see him put a run together. But I was pleased to see him on the score sheet, and we very nearly won it at the end as well. We had chances here and there. Yusuf Chermiti heading over. We had decent chances, and special mention to Yusuf Chermiti as well coming off the bench. I thought he made a real good impact. Thought he was powerful in his running, held up the ball well. He's a strong runner, isn't he? But he also chases every ball. He's a bit like Beto in that sense. He chases every ball. He gives 110%. So he's definitely a player I'd like to see more of in the running and in these last 8 games or so. But just my final thoughts on it. It's a decent point on the road against a very good team. Listen, we know they had injuries. It was probably a second string Newcastle side. They still had Bruno Guimaraes. They still had Isak. They still had pretty much all of their best players and all of their key starters. Just a few ones missing, like Anthony Gordon, and I think the centre back situation with Newcastle definitely hurt them. But a decent point. I was happy coming out of the ground. Probably not as happy as some people, considering it took us quite long to make the changes to get back in the game. But a decent point. I think it lifts us a little bit further away from that relegation zone before the Luton game this evening. And for me, just my final thoughts on that. I think Dyche was bailed out a little bit by the second goal being ruled out. I think it gave him the opportunity to make the changes there, whether he might not have done so unless that goal went in. So, in these last 8 games, I just want to see him be proactive rather than reactionary to the game. Make that first change, be positive, make the attacking change at half time when it's not being right. And I think we'll be much better off for it. But, you know, decent point moving into the Burnley game at the weekend, and I think that's a huge win. But this will definitely give the squad a little bit of confidence. But that is all for my thoughts for Newcastle United 1, Everton 1. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Let me know your thoughts about Dyche and the tactics going into the Burnley game. But that is all for On the Toffee Blues this week. Speak to you soon.